again, pretty vital. There are all kinds of different situations. A couple come to mind in terms of our colleagues who have had some fires where they had to shut down or evacuate or had campuses destroyed, and that's an experience that it would be hard to prepare for. But in breakout sessions that I've attended, getting an idea about what to do in an emergency, in a crisis, what happens when the Red Cross takes your campus over because you're at an evacuation center, is something that I really hadn't thought of that much, but now it's in my conscious thought. So without those peers and the availability to have a workshop and attend them, I probably wouldn't have felt as confident if there were a crisis on my campus. So that's one. Others in terms of just sharing tips, whether it's on the fiscal side, being able to talk to some CEOs that were former CBOs and see how they view the world and what kind of tips they would have as a CEO and what to look for and what questions to ask for of your CBO is really important and something that I would not have come to on my own.
I think professional development is extremely important to all staff members, quite frankly. But for a CEO, the professional development helps you to be able to reach outside of yourself, outside of your institution, and outside of even your executive team to really refresh ideas, to refresh processes that you use, to really gather outside information and give you a fresh perspective. I think it's really important for the CEO of the institution to be able to have I keep using the word fresh, but it's a really fresh approach to problem solving, to initiatives that the institution would like to undertake, even to developing a strategic plan.
Well, the CEO, if you look at some of the national and state data, the longevity of a CEO is not as long as probably many people would like. So professional development is an opportunity for you to get new ideas, to refresh, to connect with people who are like-minded, who are facing some of the challenges and successes that you are, and it really kind of strengthens the overall profession. If you think about any other profession, whether it be surgeons or lawyers or any engineers, they come together to share what's going on in their field, to learn from practitioners in the field, to look at data, to look at research, because we have to constantly evolve. And if we don't evolve as an industry, I'm concerned about the next 100 years of California community colleges. You know, there's some who would say that the private post-secondary is a threat. I would disagree. I think they're a competitor, but they're also a challenge. And I hope they're going to continue to make us better. How can we provide the services and deliver instruction in new and meaningful ways for both the new student coming out of high school, but the returning student? These are the only ways that you're going to be able to learn those tools if you come together and go through one of these professional development opportunities. You have an opportunity to learn from people who've been in the system for quite some time and new people as well. So the opportunities for you to learn are endless. But if you don't come, you're going to get stale. You're going to get stagnant. You need to come to get out of the space that you're in, to see new people, to be in a new place. It's incredibly important for all CEOs to do this.
I think professional development really can help any CEO. Sometimes seasoned CEOs probably think they've seen it all and so forth, but I think even seasoned CEOs can benefit from the energy and the innovation of new CEOs. So when they gather together in a professional development opportunities, we can all take something away from those resources, and seasoned CEOs can find that they're taking more away than they did as a young CEO.
That's a really good question. I think that it's not good for CEOs to make unnecessary mistakes. So by engaging in dialogue, learning from others who've already done those things, you can at least put the Post-it notes up in your brain. Probably don't want to do that one. So I think from the perspective of gathering information, best practices, examples that work, identifying mentors you can call. I think that's very, very helpful, because once you make a mistake, you've made the mistake. It's a lot easier to not make the mistake, even if it means you say, you know, that's a new one for me. I haven't given that as much thought as I should. I'd like some time to go back and rethink, and I'll get back to you on that within 2 weeks or a month. When I first started as a CEO in 1988, we did not have internet, we did not have cell phones, and we did not obviously have email, texts, or any of these other sources of information that are all out there right now. So a CEO in our system, Marge Blaha, who was at the time at Solano Community College as the superintendent president, said to me, you need a private phone line in your office. You need a number that that other CEOs can call if they need to reach you right then. They don't have to go through their switchboard, your secretary, or anybody else. And you need to know that some of us have those lines. And if you have a question, do not hesitate to pick up the phone. Even if it's 15 minutes before a board meeting and something has popped up or a trustee has asked a question, pick up the phone, because it's a lot easier, even though it's rushed, to have information rather than say something that's off point. You lose credibility that way. I think that I've gone to one, besides going to conferences, I have gone to one CEO pure professional development, and that was an AACC CEO Academy in Colorado, which was okay. It didn't measure up to ours that we had back in the 80s and 90s and that we have again now. But I've never gone to a whole lot of professional development training. I've chosen instead to do professional development training, to embrace it at our own college, to develop leadership training models, and to work with other CEOs to help our own, including me. When I go to a CEO Academy as a presenter or an organizer, I'm sure I learn much more than some of the first-time attendees, because I'm ready to know more and I'm ready to learn more. So I think it's constant, but you also have to be committed. It takes time. It takes time to help other people. It takes time to ask questions. It takes time to be mindful and anticipate. So I think it's critical. I don't think the professional development by itself can help the longevity of a CEO. If a CEO doesn't have common sense, if they don't have grit, if they aren't resilient, and if they don't have a passion for the game of Clue, they're never going to make it in this business. But it certainly does help.
I think professional development is very important in any level of your career, but as a CEO exceptionally, because it is so difficult to carve out time to do strategic and reflective thinking about the direction of your institution, but also about your relationship with the Board of Trustees.
I think primarily professional development helps CEOs be successful. And if you're talking about longevity and trying to increase someone's ability to succeed in a position over a longer period of time, you're really talking about trying to help them be successful. Taking those problems that we may run into unintended in year 1 or 2, and maybe we can avoid those problems, or maybe it's a situation that can't be avoided, but maybe we manage to push it off to year 3 or 4. In any event, you're able to give people more time in their position, and that's helpful to the system because it provides additional stability to those institutions.